All right, let's get right into it. We all see the flashing lights, we hear the sirens, but behind every single emergency response, there's this hidden powerhouse: data. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how emergency services are turning what looks like just raw information into actual life-saving intelligence.
Just think about that for a second. Every single incident report, every dispatch call, every safety inspection, it's not just a piece of paper, right? It's a clue. It's a piece of a much, much bigger puzzle that tells us where, when, and most importantly, why these emergencies are happening in the first place.
And the scale of this puzzle? It's huge. Just take this number from Abu Dhabi's Civil Defense Authority. In a single year, they responded to 735 fire incidents. Wow, that's 735 different stories, 735 little packets of data, and 735 chances to get smarter.
And that is the big question, isn't it? The answer is all in the data analysis. It's about making that critical shift from just reacting to one fire after another to proactively preventing hundreds before they even start. So, how on earth do they do it?
Well, to answer that, first we need to open up the analyst's toolkit. These are the fundamental ideas, the core concepts that let you turn a mountain of disconnected facts into a clear, actionable plan.
So everything, and I mean everything, starts right here with a single piece of data. It's just a raw, unorganized fact, a location, a time, an event. By itself, it's really just one dot on a huge map, but it is the absolute foundation for everything that comes next.
Okay, so from that one little data point, we start pulling out what we call variables. These are the specific measurable parts of the story. What type of incident was it? A kitchen fire? Electrical? And what was the response time? See, now we're starting to add some much-needed context.
Now, this is where it gets really useful. When we start tracking one of those variables over time, it becomes a metric. So we're not just looking at one response time anymore, we're calculating the average response time across the entire city for the whole month. This is how you actually start to measure performance.
And that brings us to the top of the pyramid, the KPI, or Key Performance Indicator. This is where a metric gets its mission. It's not just about tracking the average response time anymore. It's about setting a clear strategic goal, like, we are going to reduce our average response time by 10% this year. Now that's a target.
And here you can see how it all just clicks together in the real world. That single fire report, that's your data. The type of building it happened in, say residential or commercial, that's a variable. The percentage of all buildings that pass their safety inspection, that becomes a metric. And the big strategic goal to get that pass rate up to 95%, that is the KPI that drives the whole mission forward.
Okay, so now that we've got the toolkit down, how does an analyst actually go from having a problem to finding a solution? Well, it's not just a random search for clues. It's a really systematic investigation. This right here is the roadmap. And what I want you to notice is that it's a loop. It's a cycle. It always starts with asking a really good question, not just what happened, but why did it happen? From there, you collect the data, you clean out all the messy, irrelevant stuff, and then the real detective work, the analysis, begins. But look, the journey doesn't just end with a fancy chart. It ends with making a real decision that then feeds back and improves the whole system.
Let's make this super concrete. Imagine you're in charge of a fire safety campaign for high-rise buildings. You can't just guess what to do. You'd start by pulling your own internal data, your incident reports, your inspection records, but then you'd layer on external data, like demographics from the Census Bureau, to understand who lives in these buildings. You're not just looking at brick and mortar, you're looking at the people inside. You're building a complete 360-degree picture.
But here's the thing. None of this, absolutely none of it, works if the information you're starting with is flawed. In emergency services, the quality of your data isn't just some academic issue. It can literally be a matter of life and death. This quote really says it all. If a firefighter runs into a burning building without knowing what's inside because of a gap in the data, well, the consequences are just catastrophic. So making sure data is accurate, complete, and up to date isn't optional. It's essential.
But on the flip side, when the data is high quality and you act on it, the results can be absolutely incredible. By using data to drive their traffic safety programs, Abu Dhabi saw a 25% drop in traffic accident deaths in just 6 months. That's not a statistic. That's families that got to stay whole.
So how do analysts actually find those game-changing insights? Let's take a look at how they sift through all the numbers to find the real story hidden inside.
Analysts are always looking for the story within the numbers, and a lot of the time, the most important part of that story is the thing that just doesn't fit. You look at a set of numbers, and one data point just sticks out like a sore thumb. We call that an outlier, and investigating why it happened is often where the biggest breakthroughs are made.
And this is exactly why understanding the difference between the average or the mean and the median is so important. See that 25-minute response time? That outlier pulls the average way up, making it look like the typical response is almost 11 minutes. But the median, which is just the number in the middle, tells you the real story, a much more honest 8 minutes. In an emergency, that 3-minute difference in perception is absolutely massive. The median tells you what a typical day actually looks like.
And this right here, this is where analysis leads to undeniable proof. A simple chart like this can answer a critical question. Are our building inspections actually working? By just comparing the number of fires in buildings we've inspected versus the ones we haven't, you get a clear visual answer. It's proof that your prevention programs are making a real, tangible difference.
So, as you can see, this whole data-driven approach isn't just about a few one-off projects. It's about weaving this way of thinking into the very fabric of an organization to build a fundamentally safer future. And that takes way more than just buying some fancy software. It needs real commitment from the top, continuous training for the staff, and making sure the data is actually accessible to the people on the front lines who need it most. It's about building this deep-seated culture of always learning and always improving, all of it fueled by hard evidence.
And what's next? What does the future hold? Oh, it's incredible. We're talking about artificial intelligence that can actually predict where the next emergency is most likely to happen. We're talking about sensors in buildings that give firefighters real-time data during a blaze. And we're talking about analyzing massive data sets to find insights we can't even dream of yet.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. As our ability to predict emergencies gets better and better, the whole game shifts from reaction to prevention. It challenges all of us to think, not just about how we respond to disasters, but about how we can use information to stop them from ever happening at all.